My name is Alex Chen. I am 21 years old, and 3 months ago, not a single member of my family came to my college graduation. I had worked 4 years for that degree, pulled countless all-nighters, worked 2 jobs simultaneously, sacrificed my social life, my free time, my mental health. I did everything right. I graduated summa cum laude with a 3.9 GPA, and they could not be bothered to show up. A week later, my father texted me asking for $3,500 for my brother's wedding, his wedding that they were already spending $30,000 on. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I opened my banking app and sent him $1, exactly $1, with a note that said, "Best wishes for the wedding. This is all you are worth to me. Do not contact me again." Then I changed all the locks on the house my grandfather left to me. The house they did not know was legally mine. And when they showed up 3 days later with the police, demanding to be let in, demanding I give them money, the officers asked to see the deed. That was when my father's face went white. That was when everything fell apart for them. This is that story. And it starts long before my graduation day. I need to start at the very beginning, because you need to understand the dynamic that was established in my family from day one. You need to see the pattern that repeated itself over and over for 21 years. You need to understand what it is like to grow up knowing, absolutely knowing, that you are second place, that you are the mistake, that you are the child your parents did not really want. I have a younger brother named Kevin. He is 2 years younger than me, which means he is 19 now. From the day he was born, Kevin was the golden child, the favorite, the wanted one, the one my parents had actually planned for and celebrated. Me. I was the accident, the surprise, the inconvenience that came before they were ready. I did not always know this. When you are a little kid, you do not understand these dynamics. You just know that something feels off, that your sibling gets more attention, that your achievements are not celebrated the same way, but you do not have the vocabulary to name it. You just feel it, this low-level anxiety that you are not enough, that you are doing something wrong, that if you could just be better, smarter, more perfect, then maybe your parents would love you the way they love your sibling. I was 12 years old when I learned the truth, when the vague feeling crystallized into concrete knowledge. It was a Sunday afternoon. My parents were hosting a barbecue. Family and friends were over. I was in the house, supposedly doing homework, but actually I was hungry and looking for snacks in the kitchen. That was when I heard my mother talking to her sister, my Aunt Linda, on the back porch. The window was open. They did not know I could hear them. Or maybe they did not care. "I still cannot believe you are doing all of this for Kevin's 10th birthday," Aunt Linda was saying. "The party at that fancy venue, the expensive presents. It is a lot. Kevin deserves it," my mother said. "He is such a special kid. So smart. So talented. We want to celebrate him properly." "What about Alex?" Aunt Linda asked. "Did you do anything like this for his 12th birthday last month?" There was a pause, a long, uncomfortable pause. I stood frozen in the kitchen, holding a bag of chips, hardly breathing. Alex's birthday was fine. My mother said finally. We took him out to dinner, got him some gifts. Nothing extravagant, but it was nice. "You took him to a chain restaurant and got him clothes he needed anyway," Aunt Linda said. I could hear the judgment in her voice. "Meanwhile, you are spending thousands on Kevin's party. The difference is pretty stark, Margaret." Another pause. "Look," my mother said, and her voice had an edge now. "I love both my children, but Kevin was planned. We were ready for him. We wanted him. Alex was a surprise. We were not ready. We were young. We were still figuring out our lives. And honestly, Alex was a difficult baby, difficult toddler. He was not an easy child. Kevin, on the other hand, was everything Alex was not. Easy, happy, the child we actually wanted to have." I stood there in the kitchen, feeling like I had been punched in the stomach. The bag of chips slipped from my hands and hit the floor with a crunch that seemed deafening in the silence of that moment. But my mother and aunt did not hear it. They just kept talking. "That is a terrible thing to say," Aunt Linda said quietly. "Alex is a good kid. He works hard. He tries so hard to please you. And you are standing here telling me you wish he had never been born." "That is not what I said," my mother protested. "I am just being honest. Kevin is the child we planned for, the one we wanted, the one who brings us joy. Alex is he is just there. We take care of him because we have to, because that is what parents do. But if I am being completely honest, if we had not gotten pregnant with Alex, if we had waited and just had Kevin, our lives would have been easier, better." I did not hear what Aunt Linda said next. I walked very quietly up the stairs to my room, closed the door, sat on my bed, stared at the wall, and something inside me broke that day. Some hope I had been carrying, some belief that if I just tried hard enough, I could make them love me. That hope died in that moment. They did not want me. They had never wanted me. I was the accident that came before the planned child. The inconvenience, the burden they had to bear before they got to the good part, which was Kevin. I never told anyone what I heard that day. Not my friends, not Aunt Linda, not my parents. I just carried it inside me like a weight. And from that day forward, I stopped trying so hard to earn their love, because I finally understood that nothing I did would ever be enough. I was fighting a battle I could never win. They had decided before I was even old enough to understand what was happening that Kevin was the one worth loving, and I was just the mistake they had to deal with. The differences in how we were treated became even more obvious after that conversation, or maybe I was just more aware of them. Maybe I was looking for confirmation of what I had heard. Either way, the evidence was everywhere. When I was in 7th grade, I tried out for the school play. I had always liked acting, liked being someone else for a little while, someone who was wanted, someone who mattered. I auditioned for a supporting role, spent 2 weeks preparing my monologue, practiced every day after school. I was so nervous the day of auditions that I almost threw up. I got the part, not the lead, but a decent supporting role. I had lines, I had scenes. I was going to be on stage. I was so excited I could barely contain it. I ran home from school that day, bursting into the kitchen where my mother was making dinner. Mom, I got a part in the school play. They posted the cast list, and I got the role of the judge. I have like 15 lines, and I am in 3 scenes, and that is nice, Alex. My mother said, not looking up from the vegetables she was chopping. Make sure it does not interfere with your chores. The play is in 6 weeks. There are rehearsals every day after school for 2 hours. I will still have time for chores, but I might need. "Kevin, honey, come here," my mother called suddenly, ignoring me mid-sentence. Kevin walked in from the living room. He was 9 years old, small for his age, always the center of attention. "Yes, Mom." "Show Alex what you made in art class today." Kevin held up a clay bowl. It was lumpy and lopsided, the kind of thing every 3rd grader makes. Nothing special, nothing impressive, just a bowl. "Wow, Kevin, that is amazing," my mother gushed. "Look at the detail. Look at the craftsmanship. You are so talented." She went on for 5 minutes about this bowl. This completely ordinary, unremarkable bowl that any kid with access to clay could make. Meanwhile, I stood there with my big news. The news that I had actually accomplished something, that I had auditioned against 30 other kids and gotten a role. But my mother did not care. She barely acknowledged it. Kevin's clay bowl was more important than my actual achievement. That pattern repeated itself constantly. When I brought home good grades, I got a cursory, "Good job." When Kevin brought home average grades, it was a celebration. When I learned to ride a bike, my parents nodded. When Kevin learned to ride a bike 2 years later, they threw a party and invited the neighbors. The summer I turned 14, I decided to get a job. I was too young for most places, but I found a neighbor who needed help with yard work. I spent that whole summer mowing lawns, pulling weeds, trimming hedges. I was outside in the heat for hours every day. I was exhausted and sore and covered in cuts and bug bites. But I was making money, my own money. By the end of summer, I had saved $800. I was proud of that, really proud. I had worked hard, shown initiative, done something productive with my summer instead of sitting around playing video games. I thought my parents would be impressed. When I told my father about it, he was sitting in his recliner watching television. I stood next to him, waiting for him to look at me. He did not, just kept staring at the TV. "Dad, I wanted to tell you something. I made $800 this summer doing yard work for the neighbors. I worked really hard and I saved all of it." "That is good, Alex. Shows responsibility." His eyes never left the screen. I was thinking maybe I could use some of it to get some new school clothes, and maybe save the rest for college or something. "Sure, whatever you want. It is your money." That was it. The entire conversation. Maybe 30 seconds. No pride. No congratulations. No acknowledgement that a 14-year-old working all summer and saving $800 was impressive. Just a dismissive good job, without even looking at me. 2 weeks later, Kevin came home with a certificate for winning second place in a summer reading program at the library. Not first place, second place, for reading 10 books over the summer, which was the minimum requirement to even participate. My parents went insane with pride. They framed the certificate. They posted about it on Facebook. They took Kevin out to his favorite restaurant. They bought him a $50 gift card to the bookstore. Kevin read 10 books. I worked all summer and made $800. His achievement got celebrated. Mine got ignored. That was when I really started to understand that nothing I did would ever matter to them. I could work harder, achieve more, be more responsible, and it would not make a difference. Because I was not Kevin, and only Kevin mattered. High school was more of the same, but worse. Because by then, I was old enough to really see the injustice. Old enough to articulate it. Old enough to be angry about it. But not old enough to do anything to change it. When I was 15, I decided I wanted to join the debate team. I had always been good at arguing my point, good at constructing logical arguments, good at public speaking. Debate seemed like a natural fit. I was excited about it. I brought home the permission slip and the schedule and the list of tournaments. "Mom, Dad, I want to join the debate team. Can you sign this?" My parents were at the kitchen table, both on their phones. They barely looked up. "What is debate team?" My father asked. "It is like competitive arguing. We research topics and then debate against other schools. There are tournaments on weekends. Some of them are out of town. I would need rides and—" "No," my father said, cutting me off. "What? Why not?" "Because we do not have time for that. We have Kevin's soccer schedule. We cannot be driving you all over the state for debate tournaments." "But I really want to do this. I think I would be good at—" I said, "No, Alex. The answer is no. We cannot accommodate another extracurricular. Kevin's activities already fill our schedule." I stood there holding the permission slip, feeling that familiar sting of rejection, of being told I was not worth the effort, not worth the time, not as important as Kevin's activities. What if I find my own rides? I asked, "What if I get other parents to drive me? Then it would not be a burden on you." My mother finally looked up from her phone. "Alex, we said no. We do not have the bandwidth for this. Maybe you can join next year." Next year never came. Next year, Kevin joined the traveling soccer team, which had practices 3 times a week and tournaments every other weekend. Suddenly, my parents had plenty of bandwidth for extracurriculars. Just not mine. I did not join the debate team. I did not join anything. What was the point? They would not support it anyway. So I just went to school, did my homework, kept my head down, stayed out of the way, tried to be as little trouble as possible. When I turned 16, I got my driver's license. I was excited about this. Thought maybe having a license would give me some independence, some freedom. I passed the test on my first try, came home with my new license, proud and excited. My parents gave me the keys to the old family van. It was a 2005 Honda Odyssey with 200,000 miles on it. The air conditioning did not work. The check engine light had been on for 3 years. The seats were stained, and the whole thing smelled vaguely of mildew. But it ran. Barely. And it was mine to use. Try not to wreck it, my dad said when he handed me the keys. We need it to still work when Kevin gets his license. That was the extent of the celebration. Here are the keys to a van that is falling apart. Do not break it before your brother needs it. 2 years later, when Kevin got his license, my parents bought him a car. A nice car. A 2018 Honda Civic. Only 30,000 miles. Fully loaded. Leather seats. Working air conditioning. Bluetooth. Backup camera. Everything. They threw a little party. Took photos. Posted them on social media. So proud of our licensed driver, the caption said. I remember seeing that post. Seeing the photos of Kevin smiling next to his new car. His new, nice car that was given to him as a gift. While I was still driving the barely functional van. And I remember thinking, this is my life. This will always be my life. Kevin will always get more. Will always be worth more. And I will always be the afterthought. When it came time to apply for colleges, I was on my own. My parents never sat down with me to discuss options. Never helped me research schools. Never drove me to campus tours. Never offered to help with application fees. I did it all myself. Stayed up late filling out applications. Wrote my own essays. Figured out the FAFSA and financial aid forms by myself. Applied for every scholarship I could find. Meanwhile, they were actively involved in Kevin's college planning 2 years before he would even graduate high school. They started taking him on campus tours when he was a sophomore. They hired a private college counselor to help him with his applications. They paid for test prep courses to boost his SAT scores. They were investing in his future in ways they never invested in mine. I got accepted to State University. It was a good school, not prestigious, but solid. Good programs. Affordable. 3 hours from home. When I told my parents, they said, "That is nice. Make sure you figure out how you are going to pay for it." I was paying for it myself. Student loans. Financial aid. 2 jobs. I worked as a barista at a coffee shop 25 hours a week during the school year and full-time during summers. I also worked as a tutor for the athletic department, helping college athletes keep their grades up. Between the 2 jobs, I was working 45 hours a week on top of taking a full course load. I was exhausted, constantly exhausted. I was running on caffeine and sheer determination. I hardly slept. I ate cheap food because that was all I could afford. I wore the same 5 outfits on rotation because I could not afford new clothes. I was struggling, really struggling, but I was doing it. I was making it work. Kevin got accepted to a private liberal arts college. Expensive, prestigious, far from home. My parents were ecstatic. They threw a big party, invited the whole extended family, had a cake with "Congratulations, Kevin" written in frosting. They posted dozens of photos on social media. "Our brilliant son is going to college name. We are so proud. Hashtag proud parents. Hashtag college bound." They paid for Kevin's college. All of it. Tuition, room and board, meal plan, books, spending money, everything. $45,000 a year, times 4 years, $180,000. They paid it without complaint, without hesitation, because Kevin was worth it. Kevin's education mattered. Kevin's future was important. I got student loans and worked 2 jobs. Kevin got a free ride and spending money. That was the difference. That was always the difference. I went home less and less during college. Freshman year, I went home for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Both holidays were awful. The entire focus was on Kevin. How was Kevin doing in high school? Was Kevin excited about college? What activities was Kevin doing? Nobody asked me how school was going. Nobody asked about my classes, or my jobs, or my life. I was just there, a background character in the Kevin Show. Sophomore year, I went home for Christmas. That was it, just Christmas. And I regretted it immediately. I sat at the Christmas dinner table, eating turkey and stuffing, and it was like I did not exist. My parents talked about Kevin's college applications, about the schools he was applying to, about how bright his future was. Meanwhile, I was sitting right there, their other child, the one who was actually in college, the one who was working 45 hours a week while maintaining a 3.8 GPA. But none of that mattered, because I was not Kevin. At one point, my uncle asked me how school was going. I started to answer. I was excited to tell him about the research project I was working on, about the paper I had written that my professor wanted to submit to a journal, about the dean's list and the scholarship I had won. I opened my mouth to share all of this. My father interrupted. Alex is doing fine. Nothing special. Just getting by. But Kevin, you should hear about Kevin's SAT scores. He got a 1480. That is incredible. He is going to have his pick of schools. Just getting by. Those 3 words echoed in my head for days afterward. I had a 3.8 GPA. I was working 2 jobs. I was on the dean's list. I had won a competitive scholarship. And my father summed up my entire college experience as just getting by. I did not go home again after that. I made excuses every holiday. Had to work. Too much homework. Too expensive to make the trip. The truth was, I could not keep doing it. Could not keep sitting at that table, being reminded that I was invisible, that I was the child who did not matter. My parents barely noticed my absence. They had Kevin. They did not need me. Junior year, something important happened. Something that would change everything, though I did not know it at the time. My grandfather died. My father's father. Grandpa Chun. He was 93 years old. He had been sick for a while. Congestive heart failure. He went peacefully in his sleep. I was sad when I got the call, but he had lived a long, full life. It was his time. The funeral was on a Saturday. I drove home for it. It was the first time I had been back in over a year. The service was nice. Lots of people showed up. Grandpa Chun had been well loved, a successful businessman, a pillar of the community, a good man. After the service, after the burial, after the reception, the lawyer asked us all to come to his office. For the reading of the will, he said. It sounded so formal, so official, like something from a movie. We all gathered in the lawyer's conference room 2 days later. My parents, me, Kevin, my Aunt Linda and her husband, a few cousins. The lawyer, Mr. Harrison, was an older man with white hair and a kind face. He had been my grandfather's lawyer for 40 years. Thank you all for coming, Mr. Harrison said. I know this is a difficult time, but your father left very specific instructions about his estate, and we need to go through them. He opened a folder and began reading. Most of the monetary assets went to my father. That made sense. He was the only child. The investments and bonds and various accounts, totaling about $200,000, all went to him. Some smaller amounts went to other family members. $10,000 to Aunt Linda, $5,000 each to the grandchildren for education purposes. Various items, watches, cufflinks, photo albums, went to specific people. It was all very organized, very clear. Then Mr. Harrison got to the real estate section. That was when everything changed. To my grandson Alex Chan, Mr. Harrison read, I leave my primary residence located at 847 Maple Street, along with all its contents, free and clear of any liens or encumbrances. I also leave him the sum of $50,000 to be used for property taxes, maintenance, insurance, and establishing his adult life. This bequest is made without conditions and cannot be contested. The room went completely silent. I stared at Mr. Harrison. Had I heard that right? My grandfather's house. The beautiful house on Maple Street. That house was mine. There must be a mistake, my father said. His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the anger underneath. That house should come to me. I am his son. That house has been in our family for generations. There is no mistake, Mr. Chun, Mr. Harrison said firmly. Your father was very clear about this. Very specific. He wanted Alex to have the house. Why? My father demanded. Why would he give the house to Alex and not to me? Mr. Harrison pulled out another document. Your father left a letter explaining his decision. Would you like me to read it? Yes, my father said. Mr. Harrison unfolded the letter. My grandfather's handwriting, neat and precise, even in his old age. To my son Richard, he read, I am leaving the house to Alex for several reasons. First, because I have watched over the years how you treat your children. I have seen the favoritism. I have seen how Alex is made to feel invisible while Kevin is celebrated. I have seen a good, hardworking, intelligent young man being told he is not enough, and it breaks my heart. Alex deserves better than what you have given him. Second, I am leaving him the house because he will need it. You pay for everything for Kevin, but Alex is on his own. He works multiple jobs while going to school full-time. He struggles financially. This house will give him security, a foundation, something that is his. Third, I am leaving him the house because I trust him to take care of it. He is responsible, hardworking, the kind of man who will appreciate what he has been given and will maintain it properly. Fourth, and most importantly, I am leaving Alex the house because I love him, and I want him to know that someone in this family sees him, values him, believes in him. You failed him, Richard. You failed as a father to Alex. So I am stepping in, even from beyond the grave, to give him what you never did. Security, support, proof that he matters. The house is Alex's. Do not try to take it from him. Do not make him feel guilty about receiving it. Just let him have this one thing. Signed, your father, Thomas Chun. The room was absolutely silent when Mr. Harrison finished reading. You could have heard a pin drop. Everyone was looking at my father. His face had gone from red to white. He looked like he had been slapped. My mother was staring at me with an expression I could not quite read. Shock, maybe. Or anger. Or both. Kevin looked confused, like he could not understand why I was being given something he was not. Aunt Linda was smiling. A small, sad smile, like she was proud of my grandfather, but heartbroken that it had come to this. And me. I was trying not to cry. My grandfather had seen me, really seen me. He had watched my parents neglect me for years, and he had done something about it. He had given me something huge, something life-changing, not just the house and the money, but proof that I was worth something, that I was not crazy, that the favoritism was real, and it was wrong, and someone had noticed. This is unacceptable, my father said finally. I am going to contest this will. That house should be mine. You can try, Mr. Harrison said calmly. But I should warn you that your father anticipated this. The will is ironclad. He was of sound mind when he wrote it. There are multiple witnesses, and the letter makes his reasoning very clear. No judge is going to overturn this. The house belongs to Alex. He slid a folder across the table to me. This contains the deed, the keys, and all the relevant documents. The house is yours, Alex. Legally and completely. Congratulations. I took the folder with shaking hands. I owned a house. At 20 years old, I owned a house. A beautiful, fully paid-off house in a good neighborhood. It was surreal. After the meeting, my father tried to corner me in the parking lot. Alex, we need to talk about this. There is nothing to talk about. Grandpa left me the house. It is mine. You are 20 years old. You cannot handle a property. You do not know anything about maintenance, about property taxes, about insurance. Sign it over to me. I will take care of it. Eventually, when you are older, we can transfer it back. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. The house is mine. Grandpa wanted me to have it. I am keeping it. Alex, do not be stupid about this. That house is a family asset. It needs to stay in the family. I am family, I said, and the house is staying with me. My father's face turned red again. You are being incredibly selfish. That house has been in our family for generations. It should pass to me, not to you. Take it up with Grandpa, I said. Oh, wait, you cannot, because he is dead, and he made his wishes very clear. The house is mine. Now, if you will excuse me, I have to drive back to school. I got in my car, the crappy van that barely ran, and drove away, left my father standing in the parking lot, furious and powerless. For the first time in my life, I had something he wanted, something he could not take from me, and it felt good. I spent that summer fixing up the house. Grandpa had maintained it well, but he had been too old and sick to do much the last few years. Things needed updating. I used the $50,000 he left me to hire professionals for the big stuff. New roof, updated electrical, fixed plumbing, new water heater, new HVAC system. I wanted the house to be solid, secure, perfect. The rest, I did myself. I painted every room, refinished the hardwood floors, fixed the fence in the backyard, planted flowers, mowed the lawn. I poured my heart into that house, made it mine. Every hour I spent working on it felt like honoring my grandfather, like saying thank you for seeing me, for believing in me, for giving me this gift. By the end of summer, the house looked amazing. I moved in, rented out 2 of the spare bedrooms to fellow students to help with expenses. I was a homeowner at 20, living in a beautiful house that I owned outright. It was incredible. My parents hated it. They never came to visit, never asked to see what I had done with the place, never acknowledged that I had accomplished something impressive. They were too angry, too resentful, too focused on what they thought they deserved instead of being happy for me. But I did not care. For the first time in my life, I had something that was truly mine, something they could not take away, something that proved I had value, that I mattered, that I was worth investing in, even if my parents could not see it. Kevin, meanwhile, continued living his golden child life. Everything handed to him, everything paid for, everything celebrated. He was still living at home, getting free room and board while he finished his last year of high school. My parents were still deeply involved in his college planning, still posting about his every achievement, still treating him like he hung the moon. Fine, let them. I had my own life now, my own space, my own independence. I did not need their approval anymore. I had my grandfather's approval, and that was enough. My senior year of college was the hardest academically. Advanced courses, senior thesis, capstone projects. I was taking 20 credit hours while working 20 hours a week. My renters helped with the mortgage, taxes, and insurance, but I still needed income for food and gas and other expenses. I was stretched thin, exhausted, running on fumes, but I was doing it. I was maintaining a 3.9 GPA. I was on track to graduate summa cum laude. I was going to walk across that stage with honors cords and graduate with a degree in computer science. I had job interviews lined up. Good job interviews with tech companies. My future looked bright. Graduation was scheduled for May 15th, a Saturday at 10 in the morning. I got the formal announcement in February. A nice printed card with the date and time and location. I had 4 guest tickets. I could bring 4 people to watch me graduate. I sent the information to my parents in March. My graduation is May 15th at 10 a.m. Here is the info if you want to come. Let me know if you need tickets. My mom texted back a week later. Okay, we will see. We will see. Those 3 words should have told me everything. We will see was parent speak for. Probably not, but we do not want to commit to saying no yet. I had heard we will see my entire life. When I asked to join Little League, when I wanted to go on the school trip to Washington, D.C., when I asked if they would come to my academic awards ceremony, we will see almost always meant no. But this was my college graduation. My college graduation. This was huge. This was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Surely they would make time for this. Surely this was important enough. I sent a follow-up text 2 weeks later, just confirming. Can you make it to graduation on May 15th? I need to know how many tickets to get. My dad responded this time. Kevin's bachelor party is that weekend. He is getting married in August. The guys are all going to Vegas Friday through Sunday. I am going with them. Your mother is helping Jessica with wedding planning. We might not be able to make it to your graduation. I stared at that text for a long time. Kevin's bachelor party. Kevin's wedding. Those were more important than my graduation. Kevin, who was 23 and whose wedding was still 3 months away, was more important than my college graduation that happened once in my entire life. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone. I wanted to text back something angry. Something about how I had worked 4 years for this degree. How I had juggled school and work and maintaining a house. How I had done everything right. How this was supposed to be my day. My achievement. My moment. But I did not say any of that. Because what was the point? They had made their choice. They always made the same choice. Kevin was more important. Kevin's events were more important. Kevin's happiness was more important. And I was just Alex. The afterthought. The mistake. The child who was not worth showing up for. I texted back. Okay, I understand. I will give the tickets to friends. My dad responded, We are really sorry, Alex. We wish we could be 2 places at once. But Kevin's bachelor party has been planned for months. We cannot change it now. Kevin's bachelor party could have been any weekend in the 3 months before his wedding. But it just happened to be the same weekend as my graduation. What a coincidence. Except it was not a coincidence. Kevin knew when my graduation was. I had mentioned it at Christmas. My parents knew. They all knew. And they planned the bachelor party for that exact weekend anyway. Because my graduation was not important enough to work around. I gave my 4 tickets to friends. My roommates. People from my classes. People who actually cared about me. At least someone would be there to see me graduate. The weeks leading up to graduation were strange. I was excited but also devastated. I was about to accomplish something huge, something I had worked incredibly hard for. But the people who were supposed to care most were not going to be there, and I had to make peace with that. I tried to focus on the positive. I was graduating. I had job offers. I had a house. I had a future. I had done all of this despite my parents, not because of them. That should have been enough. But it hurt. It hurt so much. I did not want to care. I wanted to be above it. I wanted to be the person who did not need parental approval, who did not need them to show up. But I was not that person. I was just a 21-year-old kid who wanted his parents to be proud of him, who wanted them to show up for one important day. and they could not even do that. The night before graduation, I barely slept. I lay in my bed in my house. The house that proved my grandfather had believed in me, even if my parents did not. And I stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow I would graduate. Tomorrow I would walk across that stage. Tomorrow I would receive my diploma, and my parents would not be there. I thought about calling them, begging them to change their plans, to come to my graduation instead of Kevin's bachelor party. But what would that accomplish? Even if they came, they would resent it. They would make it clear that they were doing me a favor, that they were sacrificing for me. And I was tired of being made to feel like a burden, like my existence was an inconvenience they had to tolerate. No, I was not going to beg. I was not going to give them the satisfaction. If they did not want to come, fine. I would graduate without them. I would celebrate without them. I would build my life without them. I had been doing it for years anyway. This was just one more thing. Graduation day arrived. It was a perfect morning. Sunny, warm, not too hot. The kind of day that feels full of possibility. I put on my cap and gown, looked at myself in the mirror. The cords around my neck indicated I was graduating summa cum laude, top of my class, 3.9 GPA. I had done this, all by myself. No help from my parents. No encouragement. No support. Just me, working my ass off for 4 years. I should have been proud, and I was, but I was also heartbroken, because no matter what I accomplished, it would never be enough to make my parents see me, to make them value me, to make them show up for me. I drove to the university, parked, walked to the stadium where the ceremony would be held, found my section, sat with my fellow graduates. We were all laughing and taking photos and celebrating. This was one of the happiest days of our lives. I smiled for photos. I laughed at jokes. I pretended I was as happy as everyone else. But inside I felt hollow, because when the ceremony started and we all stood and walked in a procession to our seats, I looked into the crowd. I looked for my parents, even though I knew they were not there. Even though I knew they were in Vegas with Kevin, I still looked. Some stupid, childish part of me hoped they had changed their minds, that they had realized this was important and come anyway. They had not. The ceremony was 3 hours long, 842 graduates, speeches from the dean, the provost, a guest speaker who I do not even remember. Then, finally, they started calling names, section by section, row by row, students walking across the stage to receive their diplomas. When they got to my section, my heart started pounding. This was it, my moment, the moment I had been working toward for 4 years. I stood when they called my row, walked up the steps to the stage, waited in line. Alex Chun, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, summa cum laude. I walked across that stage, shook the dean's hand, took my diploma, smiled for the official photo. The crowd cheered. I heard my friends shouting my name, my roommates, people who actually cared about me. But I did not hear my parents, because they were not there. They were 300 miles away in Las Vegas, celebrating Kevin's upcoming wedding, because that was more important, because Kevin was more important, because I would never be important enough. I walked off the stage, returned to my seat, held my diploma in my hands. This piece of paper that represented 4 years of sacrifice and hard work and determination, for years of barely sleeping, of eating cheap food, of working 45 hours a week while taking 20 credit hours, of proving I could do it, that I was good enough, that I mattered. The ceremony ended. We threw our caps in the air. Everyone was hugging and crying and celebrating. I hugged my friends, took photos, smiled, pretended I was okay. After the ceremony, families gathered outside for more photos. Graduates with their parents, with grandparents, with siblings, with everyone who loved them and was proud of them. I took photos with my friends. We went to lunch at a pizza place near campus. It was nice. They tried to make me feel special, tried to make the day about me, but it was not the same, and we all knew it. That evening, I went home to my empty house, sat on my couch, looked at my diploma. I had graduated summa cum laude from a good university with a degree in a lucrative field. I had job offers waiting. I had a house I owned. I had a future. But all I could think about was that my parents had not been there, that I had accomplished something huge and they had not cared enough to show up, that I had never mattered to them and I never would. I opened Instagram. I do not know why. Some masochistic need to see what I already knew. And there it was, post after post from Las Vegas. My dad with Kevin and his groomsmen at a pool party. My mom with Jessica and her bridesmaids at a spa. Everyone smiling. Everyone having fun. Everyone celebrating Kevin. The captions were full of joy. Best bachelor party ever. So excited for the wedding. Celebrating our amazing son. Not a single post about my graduation. Not a single acknowledgement that their other son had just graduated from college with honors. Nothing. Just photo after photo of them celebrating Kevin. I sat there in my empty house, holding my diploma, staring at those photos, and something broke inside me. Some last thread of hope that maybe they would care. Maybe they would remember. Maybe they would post something. Anything. Even just a "Congratulations, Alex, on your graduation," without a photo. Just an acknowledgement. But there was nothing. I had graduated from college that morning, and they had not even mentioned it, had not even thought about it, had not even remembered. I was nothing to them. I had always been nothing, and I would always be nothing. I closed Instagram, set my phone down, and I cried. I cried like I had not cried since I was a little kid. Big, ugly, gasping sobs that hurt my chest and made my whole body shake. I cried for the parents I never had. For the childhood I should have had, for the love I never received, for the 21 years of being invisible, for being the mistake, the accident, the child they never wanted. I cried until I could not cry anymore, until I was empty, until I was just numb. Then I went to bed. Tomorrow was Sunday. Tomorrow I would pick myself up. Tomorrow I would keep going. Tomorrow I would continue building my life without them. Because that was what I always did. I survived. I endured. I kept going even when it hurt. Even when I felt like giving up. Even when I wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all. I kept going. The week after graduation was strange. I did not hear from my parents at all. Not a text. Not a call. Not an email. Nothing. They came home from Vegas on Sunday. Posted about what a great time they had. Still did not mention my graduation. By Wednesday, I was starting to think maybe they would never acknowledge it. Maybe they would just pretend it had not happened. Maybe I was supposed to pretend it had not happened. Then, on Thursday morning, exactly 1 week after my graduation, I got a text from my dad. "Hey Alex, hope graduation went well. Sorry we could not make it. Listen, we have a situation with the wedding. The costs are getting out of control. We are short about $3,500. The venue is demanding final payment by next Friday, or they are going to cancel our reservation. Kevin is stressed. Jessica is stressed. We are all stressed. Can you help us out? It is a family emergency. We really need this money." I read that text 5 times, then 5 more times. Then I just stared at my phone for a long time, trying to process what I was reading. They missed my graduation, had not bothered to congratulate me or apologize. A full week of silence. And now, they were texting me asking for $3,500 for Kevin's wedding, the wedding they were already paying $30,000 for. They needed more money for the golden child who got everything. I thought about all the years of being second place, all the birthdays that were barely acknowledged, while Kevin's were huge celebrations, all the achievements that were dismissed while Kevin's were praised, all the times I needed help and got nothing while Kevin got everything. All the money they spent on Kevin's college while I drowned in debt. All the time and attention and love they gave to him and not to me. And now they wanted my money. After missing the most important day of my academic life. After not even bothering to say congratulations. They wanted $3,500. I felt something shift inside me. Some final thread snapping. I was done. Completely done. Done trying to earn their love. Done accepting scraps while Kevin got banquets. Done being the forgotten child who was expected to just deal with it. I was done. I opened my banking app. Went to send money. I had my dad's information saved from when I had sent him money for his birthday a few years ago. Back when I was still trying to be a good son. Back when I thought maybe if I was helpful enough, they would finally see me. In the amount field, I typed $1. $1. Exactly $1. In the notes section, I wrote, "Best wishes for the wedding. This is all you are worth to me. Do not contact me again." I pressed send. The transfer went through immediately. $1 sent to my father's account. Then I blocked both my parents' numbers. Blocked Kevin's number. Blocked their emails. Blocked them on all social media. I was cutting them off. Completely off. They were dead to me now. But I was not done. Because I knew what would come next. I knew they would show up at my house. The house they wanted. The house they thought should have been my dad's. They would come to confront me. To demand I give them real money. To guilt me and manipulate me. I was not going to let that happen. This was my house. My safe space. My haven. And I was going to protect it. I called a locksmith. I need all my locks changed. Today. As soon as possible. The locksmith came that afternoon. Changed every lock. Front door. Back door. Side door to the garage. Even the lock on the gate to the backyard. New locks. New keys. Only I had access now. I also set up security cameras. I went to the hardware store and bought a complete security system. For cameras. Front door. Back door. Driveway. And one pointed at the street. I wanted video evidence of whatever was about to happen. Because I knew my family. I knew they would not let this go quietly. I spent that evening installing the cameras, syncing them to my phone, testing them to make sure they all worked. By 10 p.m., my house was secure. New locks, multiple cameras. I was ready for whatever came next. It took 3 days. 3 days of silence, while they presumably tried to call me, tried to text me, tried to figure out what had happened. 3 days before they decided to show up in person. I was at work when I got the first notification. My security camera detected motion. I pulled out my phone and opened the app. There they were, all three of them. My mom, my dad, Kevin, standing on my front porch. My dad tried his key, the key he apparently still had from when he helped me move some furniture 2 years ago. The key he had never returned. The key he probably kept specifically so he would have access to the house. The key did not work. He tried again. Nothing. He looked confused. Angry. He pulled out his phone. Probably trying to call me. The call did not go through because I had blocked him. I watched on my phone as they stood there, getting increasingly agitated. My dad was pacing. My mom was trying to look in the windows. Kevin was on his phone, probably trying to reach me too. Then my dad started pounding on the door. "Alex, open this door. We need to talk to you. This is ridiculous." I did not answer, just watched from my desk at work. My coworkers kept asking if I was okay. I said I was fine, just dealing with family drama. They gave me space. After about 15 minutes of pounding and yelling, my dad pulled out his phone again. Made a call. I could not hear what he was saying, but I could see him gesturing angrily, pointing at my house, getting red in the face. He hung up, said something to my mom and Kevin. They all looked angry, frustrated. They paced around my front yard for a while. Then they sat on the porch steps, waiting. 23 minutes later, I know because I was watching the timestamp on the video, 2 police officers arrived. They parked on the street, got out of their car, approached my family. I could not hear the conversation, but I could see it. My dad approached the officers immediately, started talking, gesturing at my house. At the door, the officers listened. One of them was taking notes. Then one of the officers walked up to my front door, knocked firmly, called out, "Police, is anyone home?" I was not home, but even if I had been, I would not have answered, because I had done nothing wrong. This was my house. I was allowed to change my locks. I was allowed to deny people entry. The officer knocked again. "Police, if anyone is home, please come to the door." No answer, because I was at work. The officer walked back to my family. More conversation. My dad was getting animated now, pointing, raising his voice. One of the officers held up a hand, clearly telling my dad to calm down. Then the officer said something. I wished I could hear it. Wished I knew what was being said. My dad's face went from red to white. He looked shocked, then angry, then desperate. He was arguing with the officer now, pointing at the house again. The other officer walked back to the patrol car, came back with what looked like a tablet, showed something to my dad. My dad looked at the screen. His face went even paler. That was when I knew. The officers had looked up the property records. They could see who owned the house. They could see my name on the deed. And they were telling my dad that he had no legal right to enter my property without my permission. The conversation continued for another few minutes. My mom was crying now. Kevin looked confused. My dad looked like he wanted to punch something. Finally, the officers said something that made my dad's shoulders slump. They pointed to their car, gestured down the street. They were telling my family to leave. My dad said something else. One of the officers shook his head firmly, said something back. My dad argued again. The officer pointed to the car more forcefully. Slowly, reluctantly, my family walked back to their car, got in. The officers watched them drive away. Then the officers looked at my house for a moment. One of them walked up to the front door, left a business card wedged in the doorframe. Then they got in their car and left too. I saved all the video footage, downloaded it to my computer, backed it up in 3 different places. Evidence, proof, of what? I was not sure yet, but I knew I would need it. When I got home that evening, I retrieved the business card from my door. It was from Officer Martinez. On the back, he had written a note. "Mr. Chun, your family called us to report a trespassing issue. We explained to them that this is your property, and you have the right to deny them entry. We also advised them that continued harassment could result in a restraining order. They have been told to leave and not return without your explicit permission. If they come back, call us. We will handle it. You did nothing wrong. Officer J. Martinez." I read that note 3 times. You did nothing wrong. Those 4 words meant more than Officer Martinez probably knew. I had spent my entire life being told, implicitly and explicitly, that I was the problem, that I was not good enough, that I was the reason things were difficult, that I was in the wrong somehow. But Officer Martinez said I did nothing wrong. I had every right to change my locks, every right to deny my family entry, every right to protect myself and my property. I put the card on my refrigerator, a reminder that I was not crazy, that I was not overreacting, that I had every right to set boundaries and enforce them. Over the next 2 weeks, they tried various ways to contact me. They sent emails. I had set up filters, so they went straight to a folder I never checked. They sent letters to my house. I returned them unopened. They sent Kevin's fiancée, Jessica, to try to talk to me. I saw her on my security camera, did not answer the door. They even tried to get Aunt Linda to reach out to me. That was the only communication I responded to. Because Aunt Linda had always been kind to me. She had always seen the favoritism. She had always been on my side. "Alex, honey, your parents asked me to talk to you," she said when I called her back. "I am not interested in talking to them." "I know, and I do not blame you. What they did was inexcusable. Missing your graduation, asking you for money, without even congratulating you, that is awful. Did they tell you what I sent them?" "No." "What did you send?" $1, with a note that said, "This is all you are worth to me." Aunt Linda was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed. A real, genuine laugh. "Oh, Alex, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. They think I am being unreasonable. They are wrong. You are not being unreasonable. You are setting boundaries. You are protecting yourself. That is what you should be doing. They called the police on me. Tried to get into my house. I heard. That was ridiculous. I told your father he was being an idiot. That house is legally yours. He has no claim to it. He is angry I have it. Of course he is. He is angry that your grandfather saw through his nonsense and made sure you were taken care of. Your father is a selfish man, Alex. Always has been, and your mother enables him. They failed you. Badly. You have every right to cut them off. Do you think I am being too harsh? No. I think you are being exactly as harsh as the situation requires. They treated you like garbage for 21 years. They missed your college graduation for a bachelor party that could have been any weekend. They asked you for money without apologizing or even acknowledging what they did. You do not owe them anything. Not your time. Not your money. Not your forgiveness. Nothing. That conversation helped. Having someone validate my feelings. Having someone tell me I was not overreacting. Having someone see the situation for what it was. Decades of neglect and favoritism culminating in the ultimate dismissal. I never spoke to my parents or Kevin again. Not at the wedding in August. Not at holidays. Not ever. I was done. Completely done. Kevin's wedding did happen, but it was scaled down. Smaller venue. Simpler catering. They had to cut things they had planned because they did not have enough money. Apparently, that $3,500 I did not give them was crucial. Without it, they had to make compromises. I felt a little bit bad, but only a little, because they had made choices. They chose to spend $30,000 on Kevin's wedding. They chose to plan an elaborate event they could not really afford. They chose to skip my graduation for his bachelor party. They chose to ask me for money without apologizing. Those were their choices, and now they had to live with the consequences. I moved on with my life. I started my new job in July, software engineer at a good tech company. Starting salary of $75,000 a year. Within 6 months, I got promoted. Within a year, I was making $85,000. I was good at my job, really good, and for the first time in my life, I was being recognized for my abilities. I also paid off my student loans aggressively, $68,000 of debt. I threw every extra penny at it. Within 2 years, they were gone. All of them. Paid off. I was completely debt-free at 23. Owned my house outright. No student loans. No credit card debt. Nothing. I was in better financial shape than most people twice my age. I started dating someone seriously. Her name was Lisa. We met through a friend. She was smart and funny and kind. Most importantly, she saw me. Really saw me. When I told her about my family, she was horrified. They asked you for money after missing your graduation? Are you kidding? I wish I were. And you sent them $1? That is the most beautiful act of petty revenge I have ever heard. I laughed. I do not know if it was petty or justified. It was both, and it was perfect. They deserved worse, honestly. Lisa became my support system, my family, the family I chose instead of the family I was born into. She was there for me in ways my parents never were. She celebrated my achievements. She showed up for me. She made me feel valued. I also started therapy. Lisa suggested it. I think talking to someone might help you process everything, she said. 21 years of emotional neglect is a lot to carry. She was right. I found a therapist named Dr. Rebecca Stone who specialized in family trauma. Over the next year, I worked through decades of hurt, of being told I was not enough, of being invisible, of being the unwanted child. You were scapegoated, Dr. Stone explained in one session. That is a specific form of family dysfunction where one child is designated as the problem, while another child is idealized. It is a form of psychological abuse. Abuse seems like a strong word. Is it? Let's look at what you experienced. Consistent emotional neglect. Being told you were not good enough. Being compared unfavorably to your brother. Having your achievements dismissed. Being made to feel like your existence was a burden. Being forgotten on important occasions. Being asked to provide financial support without receiving any in return. That is abuse, Alex. It might not have been physical, but it was absolutely abuse. Hearing that validated something I had always felt, but never named. I was abused. My parents abused me. They might not have hit me, but they damaged me in other ways. Ways that were just as real and just as harmful. Therapy helped me understand that none of it was my fault. That there was nothing wrong with me. That I was not too ordinary, or too difficult, or too much. That the problem was them. Their inability to love both their children. Their choice to favor one child over the other. Their failure as parents. I am 25 now. For years since graduation. For years since I sent that $1. 4 years since I changed the locks and cut them out of my life. And I have never been happier. I got promoted again last year. I am now a senior software engineer, making 6 figures. I am financially secure in ways I never dreamed possible. I paid for Lisa to go back to school when she decided to change careers. We moved in together. We are talking about getting engaged, about buying a second property as an investment, about building a life together. I also reconnected with Aunt Linda and some of my extended family, people who had always been kind to me, who had seen the favoritism, who had tried, in their own ways, to make things better. We have family dinners now. Real family dinners where everyone is welcome, where everyone is valued, where I am not invisible. Aunt Linda told me recently that my parents still complain about me, that they have rewritten history to make themselves the victims. Alex stole the house that should have gone to us, they tell people. Alex abandoned the family over money. Alex is selfish and ungrateful. Let them tell their version. The people who matter know the truth, and the people who do not matter can believe whatever they want. Do I regret sending that $1? Not for 1 second. It was the perfect response. It was me finally standing up for myself. Finally saying, you do not get to treat me like I am worthless for 21 years and then demand I give you money. It was me putting a monetary value on exactly how much they were worth to me after a lifetime of making me feel like I had no value. Some people might think I should have just given them the money, that it was only $3,500 and family is more important than money. But those people do not understand. It was never about the money. It was about respect. It was about them valuing me. It was about them acknowledging that they had hurt me. It was about them showing up for me just once, none of which they ever did. They wanted my money without wanting me. They wanted what I could do for them without being parents to me. That is not family. That is exploitation. And I was done being exploited. I also do not regret changing the locks or calling the police or cutting them off completely. This house, the house my grandfather left me because he saw what my parents were, is my sanctuary, my safe space, my proof that someone believed in me even when my parents did not. I was not going to let them violate that. I was not going to let them take this from me the way they took everything else. The best revenge is living well, and I am living very, very well. I have a career I love, a partner who values me, a home that is fully mine, financial security, peace of mind, relationships with family members who actually see me and care about me. I have everything my parents said I would never have because I was not good enough. Turns out, I was always good enough. They just could not see it. And that is their loss, not mine. My name is Alex Chen. I am 25 years old. 4 years ago, my parents missed my college graduation because they chose to attend my brother's bachelor party instead. A week later, they asked me for $3,500 for his wedding. I sent them $1 with a note that said, "This is all you are worth to me. Do not contact me again." Then I changed all the locks on the house my grandfather left me. They showed up with the police 3 days later. The police told them to leave my property and not come back. I never spoke to them again, and I have never been happier. If you are listening to this, and you are the scapegoat in your family, the forgotten child, the one who is never good enough no matter what you achieve, I want you to know something. It is not you. It has never been you. You are enough. You have always been enough. Your family's inability to see your worth says everything about them and nothing about you. You do not owe toxic people anything. Not your time. Not your money. Not your emotional energy. Not your presence. Not your forgiveness. Family is supposed to support you, celebrate you, show up for you. If they do not do those things, they have forfeited the right to call themselves family. Walk away if you need to. Change the locks. Block the numbers. File for restraining orders if necessary. Build a life with people who actually value you, because you deserve to be celebrated. You deserve to have people who show up for your important moments. You deserve respect and love and basic human decency. Do not let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Do not let anyone convince you that you are being too harsh or too unforgiving or too petty. You know what you experienced. You know how they made you feel. Trust that. Honor that. Protect yourself. I sent my parents $1 when they asked for $3,500. Some people think that was petty. I think it was perfect. It was me finally quantifying exactly how much they were worth to me after a lifetime of making me feel worthless. $1. That is it. That is all they get. You have the right to do the same. To stand up. To say no. To walk away. To protect yourself from people who hurt you, even if those people are family. Especially if those people are family. And you will survive. You will thrive. You will build something beautiful without the people who tried to break you. Because you are stronger than you know. You are more resilient than you think. You survived a childhood that should have destroyed you. You can survive anything. Your family told you that you were not enough. They were wrong. You were always enough. More than enough. You just needed to find people who could see it. Those people are out there. I found them. You will too. Keep going. Keep building. Keep protecting yourself. Keep being exactly who you are. Because you are enough. You always were. You always will be. Thank you for listening to my story of growing up faster than I ever wanted to. I have left 2 more stories on your screen, both from young men who learned that sometimes becoming an adult does not happen at 18. It happens the moment your family needs you to be strong. Click on whichever one speaks to you. And if you want to join our community of people who understand what it is like to be forced to grow up overnight, that notification bell is waiting. Until tomorrow, remember, age is just a number, but courage defines who you really are.